Today we welcome one of the founders of Karate Combat and the force behind the Karate Token and, of course, their push into Web3. Of note is he likes to stay behind the scenes and keep the focus where it should be on the fights and the fighters, and maybe today on the token. So we're going to be doing this one in audio only. That said, we are going to be talking about that Karate Token and maybe getting into the bull case around it. So understand that none of this is financial advice. Of course, there are risks involved. There is custody risk. There is regulatory risk. Just like with any cryptocurrency, and each cryptocurrency is going to be a little bit different. But for me, personally, I was willing to take that risk, but it's going to be up to each individual and maybe talking to their financial advisor and so forth. But with all of that out of the way, Only LARPing, welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. To start, can you just tell us what made you want to create the Karate Token and Up Only Gaming in the first place?
Yeah, the reason the Karate Token exists and why we did all this craziness is for Up Only Gaming. So that was the beginning of the Web3 journey for Karate Combat. I myself have been in the space going back a decade and have been helping to build Karate Combat from the beginning, going back about 6 years. We did the entire Web3 platform to enable Up Only Gaming. Karate Combat itself has very large awareness within its core demographics of young males, over 5 million followers. We get a couple 100 million organic views on the internet every month. Our content is everywhere, but it's not trivial to turn large awareness into super fandom. The biggest stars in the world earn and generate orders of magnitude more revenue than the rest of the athletes out there. And there's so few stars in the world. And to really make someone a star, make a platform a star, ordinarily takes tons of time and money. And Up Only Gaming is a strategy that we fell in love with to really supercharge that process and make it happen much more efficiently, we hope.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how has the actual launch of the token and the app compared to your initial vision for it?
I think the original vision for it, because I have such a long and obsessive crypto experience, the original vision was a little bit more crypto native. When we were first, I think, the original name for Up Only Gaming was some complicated thing you'd see come right out of DeFi. And originally thinking, oh, we'll just do this on a web app like every other DeFi app that was out a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And people can sign in with their own wallets, and it'll grow really fast. But in talking to some really smart people in the space that were sort of at the leading forefront of investing in, advising some of the biggest consumer successes so far in Web3, we realized pretty early on that we needed very dedicated custom front ends to enable it to scale to normal sports fans. Your regular sports fan is probably not going to log in with a web extension on a web app and deal with all that funkiness. So we ended up spending most of the development building really, really slick front ends. The iOS app, which includes a non-custodial wallet from Blade Labs, that launched 3 months ago. And the Android app with the same features just launched about 10 days ago. We do have a web app that you can log in with any compatible wallet, but almost everyone is playing with the mobile app, and the metrics there are quite good.
Without a doubt, I've had so much fun playing with it. It is just easy to use. It's intuitive and everything else. The reason why I got involved with the Karate Token, though, is, number one, I think that cryptocurrency investors in general are getting more savvy. They want to know what's behind it. And in this case, it's the league itself. Now, of course, the token doesn't represent ownership, but there is no ownership with the Karate Token like I talked about last week. So if you want to go on this ride with Karate Combat, the token is the only way to do it. And I've been watching combat sports for almost my entire life. And I'm not sure if it's the pit, if it's these particular fighters, if it's the rule set. I would actually think it's probably the rule set. But I've never seen more entertaining fights.
Yeah.
Second to no one. I've been impressed with every single event that I've been to, and they seem like they're only getting better. So I believe in
That's good to hear.
the underlying product. There's no question about that. And then you couple that with, again, these cryptocurrency investors, I think, are getting smarter, they're getting more savvy. They look at something, I think they're going to look at something like Hedera and say, okay, all these applications, including Karate Combat, are building on top of this network, and that's going to generate revenue later on down the line. That's the value proposition for it. It's going to generate revenue to continue to build out the ecosystem, to build out the network itself, to incentivize token holders, nodes, and so forth. Well, in the case of Karate Combat, the Karate token, it's the league that's behind it. And then again, them being more savvy, they're going to look at, well, how much should this thing be worth? Well, right now, based off of the total supply, not the circulating supply, the total market cap for the Karate token is about $100 million. I think they're going to look at comps. They're going to say, well, what's the UFC worth? And in the latest deal that the UFC did, I think it was like $12.1 billion when they did the deal with the WWE. So could, in a bull market, Karate Combat, the total market cap go to $4, $5, $6 billion? I don't know, but I think it's certainly possible. We don't know if it's going to get there or not. So that's the first thing in my head that I kind of looked at. So could we see a 40, a 50, a 60x? I think it's actually possible. And then when I was deciding whether to get involved or not, this was a couple months ago, and actually buy some tokens, and I didn't get any kind of a sweetheart deal, if anybody's wondering. I'm just a retail investor. I bought them on Saucer Swap, on KuCoin, just like everybody else. I said, well, there's also going to be the up-only gaming aspect of it. So I'm going to have some additional tokens. And at the time, I was like, we have about 2 years, I think, until the next bull run, 2025. I could double the tokens I could get. And the first one that I was involved with, I did the first one, Karate Combat 39, and I didn't really pay close attention to how many more I got because it was just the tokens I had gotten through airdrops. But for 40, I was paying a lot of attention because I had more tokens. I didn't pick very well. I only got 4 out of 10, but I still got an additional I think 10 or 12% on top of what I had. And then this last fight, 21% because I picked 8 out of 9. So it went really well. So the 100% by the next bull run could actually be really conservative. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about things, and it really makes these fights a lot more entertaining when you have skin in the game. I've never been, a gambler or anything like that, but it really does keep you on the edge of your seat the entire time. But, from your perspective, where does the Karate token fit into the crypto landscape?
Yeah, so it's the only token in the world that governs and gamifies a real sports league. So sports, I think, are a great fit for consumer Web3 because some of the biggest non-exchange consumer apps in crypto are sports related. So Rare, things like Stake, Top Shots, arguably kicked off the NFT bubble over COVID. So sports are a pretty good fit. It's been demonstrated, but nobody's taken it anywhere near as far as us. So the up-only gaming idea was first, but to execute on it and to create a Karate token that was not just a meme, not just a fan token, we had to radically pivot the entire structure of the league. We were in a really unique position to be able to do that because the league was extraordinarily closely held by a couple of us. And before we did any building, we set up a ownerless foundation. We transferred the entire league to it. So all the prior equity of the league has been completely wiped. The entire league is owned by this ownerless foundation, and we structured the foundation so that it can actually be governed by a token. And again, we did that to execute on up-only gaming and create a token that was actually meaningful to people. Sports leagues are like a super unique asset in the world. They're like this cultural, shared cultural asset. Sometimes people are looking at them as cash flow vehicles, but a lot of times people are looking at them just to own them. They want to control them. And, for the first time ever, as a holder of a token, you can actually have governance power over a sports league.
Yeah, it's invaluable. It really is. So what's the plan going forward, and how does the league grow using this new concept?
Yeah, so great question. I think, the league is already growing really fast on its own because it is so fun to watch, A. And then B, we also have this incredibly permissive IP policy. We've got great international distribution on television, but at the same time it's on TV, we stream it for free on the internet everywhere. So it's extremely easy to watch on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Kick, and more recently, we started teaming up with the biggest streamers in the world. At this past event, one of the streamers who was on location had 25 to 30,000 concurrent viewers throughout the entire show. We're ramping up that strategy around the world. We think that the future of global sport is localization through streamers. Younger people today, they want to watch sports with their friends. For some people, that's in a Discord channel. For other people, it's watching their favorite streamer commentate the fight. So we're really big believers in that. So there's big growth engines already behind the league. We see the up-only gaming and token strategy as a way to like accelerate the super fandom on it. Like sure, like maybe somebody watches, half of our events, but are they obsessed with it? Maybe not yet. And we think the core way to do that with our demographic, primarily of young males, is to financialize things a little bit. Get people like yourself doing research on the fighters before they show up. Now you know their backstory, their record, who they won against last time, maybe where they're from, their style, their family even. That's really hard to do without unlimited capital. But if you financialize things a little bit, people kind of do it on their own. And then they show up and they're watching it and they really care who wins. Or maybe they're out for the night. They don't get to watch it, but they're still checking their phone to see who won. They're watching the highlights. They really care about the outcome. Man, all that is so hard for a young sports league. So this is our way to supercharge everything. And, it's really exciting to hear people like yourselves where it's working, where it's like, wow, I cared so much about this because of up-only gaming. And it's hard to convey how hard that is. It takes like infinite capital almost to make that happen in the norm, or like lightning in a bottle. The PFL, they're spending, I don't know, $5 million plus an event, renting, I don't want to get in trouble with them, but, renting massive stars that are already super famous. And, they've had to raise hundreds of millions of dollars and all this stuff. We're looking for ways to create the next UFC without spending that much money, frankly.
Well, I've experienced it firsthand. I think you're really onto something. I think consumer engagement is going to be huge in crypto, and you guys are leading the way. Thank you so much for swinging by and giving us your insights.
My pleasure, man.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.